North Korea launched another ballistic missile this weekend, and today Pyongyang claimed it's a new kind of missile that can carry, quote, a heavy nuclear warhead. This was North Korea's 10th missile test so far in 2017, and experts have warned that a nuclear weapons test, which hasn't happened since last September, could be imminent. It's hard to know which of Kim Jong-un's boasts are true, but thanks to new satellite technology, analysts can now draw their own conclusions by studying the country's weapons of mass destruction program from afar. Ravi Samaya has more.
This is a cluster of shoebox-sized satellites being launched into space earlier this year. They're the creation of Planet Labs, a startup in San Francisco. The satellites photograph the Earth's surface in its entirety once every 24 hours. Even North Korea, one of the most secretive nations on Earth, cannot hide. What are the challenges of miniaturizing a satellite to this point?
One of the key things we had to work on is the radio flap. So this radio now, even though it's one of the smallest in space, actually can beam down information faster than your home internet connection.
The satellites collect terabytes of images every day.
So this is a live view into planet's mission control system. Overlain onto the Earth is kind of the live position of our many satellites we have in space right now.
Tell me about the coverage of North Korea. Which of these satellites is going over and how often?
So actually all of them pass over North Korea every 24 hours, and all of them take a small part of the land area in North Korea. And then we take that and stitch it together to create a full coverage.
Is it fair to say that if you're Kim Jong-un now, there's nowhere to hide your missiles?
You can put them inside.
North Korea knows it's being watched. The Center for Nonproliferation Studies uses planet's imagery to track the country's nuclear weapons. It's a game of cat and mouse, conducted nearly entirely remotely.
We started taking pictures of Kim Jong-un and identifying where he was. The North Koreans got really annoyed by that, and we could tell that because they started putting up barriers behind him so we couldn't see where he was. But you learn these really fascinating little things, like we watched Kim Jong-un watch a missile test from a mountain. We were trying to figure out what mountain it was, and it turns out it was the Masik Pass ski resort in the summer. That is part of a pattern we've noticed, which is Kim Jong-un likes to watch missile tests from really posh places.
To build a 3D model of North Korea's testing site, the center combined satellite imagery with seismic data. They found that this facility fits perfectly with publicly available nuclear testing data released by the United States. It seems Pyongyang has used these declassified papers to replicate the American program.
If you look in the goggles,
Okay.
what you're going to see is a three-dimensional map of North Korea's nuclear test site.
And am I looking at a tunnel?
Yes, so there are a variety of tunnels that are going into the mountain. Using commercial satellite images, we can see the North Koreans digging them. One thing a model like this allows you to do is see what the biggest possible explosion they could conduct is. And we think that's sort of about 350 kilotons, which is 10, 20 times larger than the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. We can see, based on the tunnels that they're building and the tunnels that they've used, that they plan to conduct a lot of nuclear tests.
And so it's this kind of just weird, disconnected chunk of a distant nation. You kind of get a sense of what it would be like, I guess, to fly over it in a plane. Jeffrey, I'm guessing you can't do that.
Not unless you want to get shot down.
We can see more of North Korea than ever before, including its nuclear program. But more information is not more knowledge. A lot of the rhetoric in recent weeks around these nuclear tests has sort of approached a feeling of certainty. Do you think that level of certainty is fair or accurate?
No. There's an enormous enthusiasm when you get all of this data, right? You feel like, oh, I have all of this data. There are all these things I know. But you don't, right? This data is all indirect, and what you have is a series of clues. And, you know, it'd be great if life was like a Sherlock Holmes story and you always got the answer, but often you don't. My guess is North Korea will probably conduct 1 or 2 nuclear tests there every year for the foreseeable future. That tells you the site's active. It doesn't tell you that a test is going to happen tomorrow.